Good morning, everybody. As you can see, well, you may not be able to tell, I'm on my way into the office today, and something came up last night in the family chat, or the secondary family chat, but I digress. I sent out a warning maybe the end of last week. Today's Tuesday, and in that warning, I sent an article where many American travelers traveling back to the United States have been stopped by the CBT, Customs Border Patrol, to inspect their electronic devices, their phones, their laptops, etc. And this has caused quite a stir because they've been doing this since 2014. It may be sooner, but I know for sure 2014 they started doing this. And it was a very rare occurrence. So usually it was somebody who is suspected, or a foreign national is coming back into the country, and they would check the laptop for suspicious activity and such. Well, that number appears to have increased given the new administration and their one of the tenets of their policy is to protect the border. Whether you agree with the means and such, that's what they said they were going to do, and this is one of the byproducts. Moving forward, there are Americans that are being caught on that web where they're having their phones seized when they refuse, because again, as an American citizen, you do have the right to refuse, but they also have the right to deny you access to the country or entry into the country until you comply. It's a tricky thing, but here's why I send this message. So what I was advising people to do in the family, because I know I have a few that are traveling this year internationally, is to remove any facial recognition from your phone when you come back into the country, number one. And I'll talk about why that is in a minute. Number two, remove your fingerprint, if possible, from your phone. Disable both of those things. Again, we'll talk about that in a minute. Number three, delete any social media apps from your phone. Just that simple. And number four, make sure that you have your photos or any other important files, number one, backed up to your cloud. Make sure that cloud is protected with a passcode. Make sure that your phone is protected with a passcode, and make sure that that passcode is as long as the system you're using will allow. Most phones, it's like 6 digits. So that may be where you need to hit. Some programs will let you do 8 digits. The longer the password, the more secure. Passcode, PIN, it's more secure. So make sure that you're doing that. So why am I telling you this? Well, again, as I mentioned, there have been many court cases, and in those court cases, the CBP is allowed to deny you entry into the country until you comply with handing over your devices, or they can simply seize your devices. This is a remnant of the Patriot Act. There may be some other superseding laws that allow them to do so. So for your benefit, because a couple of the people, and again, has not been independently verified to my knowledge, but a couple of people who had some disparaging things to say about the current administration were detained. Now, some of those people were a little bit higher profile than the average person, allegedly, but that's what has been happening. Again, I want to make sure I use that alleged word again. So one of the reasons, the first thing is that if your phone is clean. Now, some folks have actually recommended using a burner phone. Bit extreme, maybe a little bit hard to do, let's say traveling international. I'm not going to tell you not to take your phone when traveling international. One of the benefits of social media is that they're all cloud-based apps. And so if you delete them from your phone, they all are backed up to that social media's cloud. So if it's Instagram and you delete the Instagram app, when you log back into Instagram, everything that you had will be there, with the exception of anything that was not uploaded or did not complete uploading in the time that you were deleting the information. One of the other things that you can do, I also recommend, while you're at it, is before you delete the apps, is to clear the cache on the apps, because there have been instances reported of people having their phones not only searched through, but them being connected to retrieval machines, meaning they plug them into a machine that does a kind of almost a forensic level search for different things. So for my money, if I have everything backed up on my phone, I have all my photos through Google Photos or through OneDrive or something like that, particularly OneDrive, which I know for sure is encrypted, and any of the important stuff that's held in the locker there, and you can do that in Google Photos as well. I would just wipe my fucking phone. Sorry for my language. I would just wipe my phone when I get to border control. Now I have that benefit because not everybody's going to, partially because you may have your boarding pass on your phone or those type of things. Those are things that you can reinstall, honestly, after you've wiped your phone. So again, seems a bit extreme, but when it comes to protecting your privacy, there's a lot of, again, I'm stuttering a lot because I'm trying to make sure that I'm saying A, these things correctly, and that B, I'm parsing my words. But there's a lot of encroachment onto our personal privacy as of late. So the big ones when it comes to privacy and self-incrimination, the Fourth Amendment, which is search and seizure, Fifth Amendment, which is the right to not incriminate yourself through testimony, and then the 14th Amendment, which does have privacy in there as well as a citizen. Those are your big amendments to take a look at, but these searches will skirt around those based on the Patriot Act, meaning that it's a national security concerns that they are allowed to do so. So I said all of that. Well, the reason that I'm telling you to take your facial recognition off is that you can be compelled legally, if you have facial recognition, to unlock your phone via your face, or the officer can hold your phone up to your face to unlock your phone. Yeah, so the courts have determined that because your face is in the public domain, it does not fall under the jurisdiction of testimony. So you're not incriminating yourself, and it is not private, even though it's your face. That's one. I think that this is one of those places in time where many of our laws that we have that govern the electronic realm, and again, this is how I eat, but many of the laws that govern the electronic realm are antiquated and have not kept up with the pace of social media, have not kept up with the pace of information technology at all. So that's one. The law was written before there was a time when people could unlock their phones by simply looking at them and using the unique characteristics of your face to do so. So there's that. So the reason that that's important is that if you are pulled over if you're detained by the police for suspicion of a crime, they can also, in a lot of jurisdictions based on this same ruling, hold your phone up to your face to look at your phone. This is true. So that's your facial recognition. Now, the grayer area is the fingerprint. The fingerprint is a little bit more debatable, but the general rule of thumb, no pun intended, is that body parts, because they are in the public domain, are not protected under the Fourth Amendment search and seizure. So they can compel you legally to use your thumbprint or your fingerprint to unlock your phone. That's why disable your facial recognition, disable your thumbprint for this purpose. The next piece we talk about is, well, what about passcodes? Why did you say use a passcode? Well, a passcode is something that you know. So if we go back through our multi-factor authentication methods, there are 3 of them. There are something you know, something you have, and something that you are. Biometrics, such as your facial recognition and your fingerprints, are something that you are. They are a part of you. They are unique to you. And they are usually used in combination with other factors to help secure your devices. So if we remove the something you are from this, that leaves something that you have. Well, the something you have is a device. Could be your phone, could be a thumb drive, something of that nature. That is something that's not really applicable here because the device itself is what we're debating. So you can't use it to protect itself, okay? So that leaves us with the last form factor in the multi-factor, and that being something that you know. Now, the courts have ruled that you cannot be compelled to give up something that you know, such as your passcode or a password, to unlock a device, because that falls under the Fifth Amendment, where you have the right to not to incriminate yourself. And that would be testimonial, meaning that you are now being asked to testify against yourself by submitting such a password for them to use against you. So that is where, if you're in that boat, that's when you need to ask for a warrant. Okay? Now, anytime you're in a situation, probably with the exception of the borders, because those have been declared to be extreme, whether it's with law enforcement and such, there are 2 things that you always need to make sure that you do. And all you have to do is go back to Baltimore, maybe 10 years ago, where the police were planting drugs on people. And that is a known fact. That is a known case. I'm not disparaging the Baltimore Police Department. That happened. They're not the only ones. It happened in other counties as well, and cities, municipalities. So you want to always, within your rights, decline the search. Period. If it is important enough, then you're going to, well, it'll help us out a lot, and we can help determine, okay, well, your job is to do this. I'm going to make you work for it. Go get the warrant. If it is, because again, once you submit to that search without a warrant, whatever they find could be subject to a illegal violation of the law. The thing about warrants are pretty specific. Even the most broad warrants are usually pretty specific, that you can only search here, you can only search there. So help yourself by placing things in locked parts of your vehicle. So if you got that thing on you, you do have your weapon, it needs to be secured in a locked part of your vehicle, right? Or vehicle. Because again, you cannot, for strange reason, be compelled to unlock something without a warrant. I don't have to open my trunk. I don't have to open my glove box. And if I have a console that locks, I don't have to open that with a key unless you have a warrant that compels it to be open. Yeah. So having a passcode, getting back to the passcode, is testimonial. You cannot be compelled. You can be held in contempt. So there is that warning that you can be held in contempt. But legally, you cannot be asked to testify against yourself or provide evidence against yourself. And whether you have committed a crime or not, it is a case where if I look on your phone because I suspect that you may have done something, but I find something else, then I get you for something else. This is a common law enforcement tactic that has been well documented. Again, I'm not making anything up. I'm not disparaging law enforcement. I'm telling the truth based on known cases that are cited and can be looked up as simple as Google or any other news search, where when the police pull you over and they ask you questions, you have to be careful how you answer those questions, or you may incriminate yourself. And for the officer, they're just escalating the ticket. They may have pulled you over for something very minor that would warrant a warning. But you may talk yourself into a ticket, right? So don't submit to the search. Make them get a warrant if you can, within your legal rights. Again, there are certain areas where that will not apply. And if you do submit, or if they do bring a search, then ask for legal representation. Ask for a lawyer to be present during the search, because your argument there is that your warrant is a legal document and that you need a legal professional to interpret said document on your behalf, because you are not a legal expert. So you want to make sure you have the right to legal representation. So I went through a lot here in this, 20 minutes, but I kind of wanted to make sure that I broke this down, because this is one of those things where I got a lot of questions last night, because I do have some folks that are family adjacent that are traveling internationally, and they saw the message and they were concerned. So in summary, if you're coming back into the country, and this is, people say, well, if you're not doing anything wrong, then you don't have anything to worry about. That's your prerogative, if you feel that way. But if you're concerned about your privacy, which is your right as a citizen, then there's nothing wrong with you taking steps to not only mitigate the search, because that's your right, but also to make sure that you take whatever means possible to enhance your privacy, because you have a right to privacy. So, again, coming back in the country, some privacy experts recommend a burner phone. That is something, if you want to do, that's fine. If you choose not to, if you have the capacity to do so and you've done all of the other things, find a good internet connection and back up your phone, then wipe it when you come back in the country, and then reinstall the apps that you need to get back into the country, such as your custom border control app, or perhaps your boarding pass app, such as your plane or airline app, those type of things. Most phones will come with some mapping software built in. There's a lot of built-in things, and just run a skeletal phone until you get back, bare minimum, until you get safely back into the country. If that's not something you can do, then you always have the option that you can just simply delete your social media apps and make sure that you've backed up all of your photos and such or whatever, and just be mindful of what they may be looking for. In the case of, again, some of these folks didn't have anything, they didn't have anything wrong. They were utilizing their First Amendment right to criticize the present administration. And because of that, they were detained for an unreasonable amount of time. which is a different discussion, but germane to this one. Your facial recognition, take that off. Disable it. Do not set it up. I know with iPhones, it's become more and more, that's going to be more of a problem, because for an iPhone, they don't have a Touch ID anymore. So that is the primary way that you can access your phone. I recommend, if you can set that phone up with just the passcode, to do that. And the passcode, again, is protected under the Fourth Amendment, and the Fifth Amendment, because, again, you cannot be compelled to testify against yourself. So I'm pulling up in the parking lot, fam. Just wanted to share that on the way in. And if you've got any questions, hit me in the comments. I will talk at you later. Peace.